we going right now?
Marrick Medical.
What are we going to do there?
We're doing a corporate wellness seminar. We just started running a challenge on the fitness side, and we're going to talk about the nutrition side of things today. And maybe a protein bar isn't cutting it. So what are some other things I can prep ahead of time that can still be easy and on the go? So we do have strategies and some ideas for that as well. Taking the stairs. How many of you guys have started taking the stairs more than the elevator now? I know it's only been 2 days, but if you run up and down those, you'll get a lot of MEPs going. Yeah, taking the stairs, drinking water throughout the day. I love that was an extra credit. That's awesome. That's a ton of ounces to be drinking. Yeah, taking a walk after lunch, just getting up and moving around, or even just taking a walk around the office with how warm it is in here. I bet you guys could burn a sweat I am just standing here, so I'm sure you guys can get a good sweat just walking around here. Getting at least 8 hours of sleep. How many people think they get at least 8 hours of sleep? 7? 6. Less than 6? Okay. So there are a lot of studies that show that your sleep is directly related to a lot of like health and wellness and weight management, because stress, goes into, how well you sleep, and the better you're sleeping, your cortisol levels aren't as high, and then, cortisol levels are related to stress, and then that can, generally relate to sometimes people retaining extra weight or a lack of energy. So getting sleep at night is super important. I know 8 hours is easier said than done. I don't either. I know that's a lot. But just something to keep in mind. Going out to eat. How many of you guys usually go out for lunch or dinner? And again, if you're on the go, sometimes that's easier. Just a couple different things to think about when you are going out to lunch. Getting the dressing on the side, bagging up half of it or a third of it and taking it home, taking it back to the office, loading up on veggies as much as you can, asking things to be steamed or grilled as opposed to like pan-seared and fried, loading up on water or soda water just so that you're a little bit more full during lunch. Just different strategies that you can use just while you're there that doesn't take away from going out, just makes it maybe not as detrimental to your health. And then you guys do the 2/3 your lunch club. I know Caleb talked about that before. Some of you guys have been doing that as well. So these are some different strategies you guys can hopefully implement in the office. And then the second part that I have is just kind of overall basic of the 3 macronutrients. So just from a more nutrition perspective, how many of you guys have heard of macro and micronutrients? Is anyone familiar with the 3 basic macros? Kind of. Maybe. So our 3 basic macros that make up the building blocks of our food are the protein, carbs, and fats. And then any other vitamin and mineral or anything else that you guys would get would just be the micronutrients. So protein is going to be super important. How many of you guys think you get enough protein in a day? Probably, maybe. So usually, and there's only really no way to know what your like lean mass is, but you want to almost be eating a gram of protein per pound of lean body mass. So if any of you know your lean body mass, that's how much protein you should be getting, if not a little bit more if you're really active. Protein builds your muscles, and the more protein you have, the more calories you burn, and the more calories you burn, the more fat you burn. So just the more muscle you have, your body just becomes more efficient in burning calories. So building muscle by eating protein is going to just be really key for weight loss and weight maintenance, because it's just going to help speed up your overall metabolic rate. Carbs, that's our primary energy source. So for those of you who plan on increasing your fitness and your workouts during this challenge, getting some of those good carbs in is going to be what fuels your energy. Probably not like breads and pastas and donuts and bagels, those type of carbs, like good fruits, oatmeal, rice, sweet potatoes, those type of things. I see you guys are like, oh crap. Not that you can't. Save that for a great cheat day. But on your day-to-day, some of those really good carbs would be something that's going to give you guys a ton of energy, especially those of you who are like, oh, I don't know if I eat enough. Could be true, especially if you guys are going to start increasing your activity. Definitely going to want to start increasing some of the different things that you're putting in your body. And fats. Fats are definitely not the devil. Everyone always tries to steer towards like low fat and fat free. Healthy fats are great for just overall weight maintenance and heart health and hormone balancing and energy. So any types of fats that you guys get from like nuts or avocado or like coconut oil, those are all going to be really good for you. So don't be afraid, and even like fish like salmon and all that stuff. So usually the full fat version is going to be better than anything fat free. And then I just kind of have some lists of good sources for each. I won't read through those all, but in case you guys are wondering like what are some good sources for all three macros, those are them, and the difference between a good carb and a bad carb. And this last page, don't feel obligated to absolutely do this, but this, again, like I said, when I write down my goals, it really just helps me kind of stick to it. So if you guys have a couple goals in mind, or maybe they come to you over the next couple days, or maybe even the next couple weeks of the challenges, maybe jot them down. I have space for about 3 of them. They can be anything that you want. And then choosing an accountability buddy. So who is someone that can help hold you accountable, whether it's someone here or someone at home. And then what's your game plan going to be? What are 3 steps, whether they're habits, strategies, tactics that you can do or implement over the next month or so to help you reach those goals. And then it'd be kind of cool to check back in with your accountability buddy at the end of this challenge. Is it going for a month?
Yeah.
Is it about, yeah.
If you guys fill out this sheet, we're going to do 100 MEPs for that, okay?
Ah.
We'll have a little checklist on the board there. So you just honor
There you
code,
go.
you can check your name there.
So now you should fill it out. So yeah, so that'd be cool just to check back in and see which goals were accomplished, and yeah, and then maybe, I don't know, there could even be an extra credit or something for if you did reach the goal. It might be all on the honor code, but we can talk about how, where Dawn go, might want to, yeah, we could work that out to see if there could be some extra credit given for reaching those goals. So yeah. So I want to leave the rest of the time open if you guys had any questions, whether it's nutrition or fitness-based or just anything wellness-related in general, or if there's anything that you guys wanted to know more about.
Give some more of those sheets.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll give you this one. This was just the one I was reading off of. Oh, you do? Okay.
I know. I heard the 100 points.
You heard the extra credit. Yeah.
So, could I substitute, say, nutrition question?
Yeah.
Could I substitute like a protein shake in the AM for breakfast? If, you know, instead of having to eat when I'm not hungry.
So you're saying like have a protein shake in the morning
Yeah,
instead of
as the
breakfast? Yeah, no, I think that'd be a great way because it's quick. It's not going to take a whole lot of time. And if you have the ability to like even blend it and turn it into like a smoothie at home with like frozen fruit, some almond milk, coconut water, any way to get in even like a little bit of carbs too. But yeah, that's a great way to start your day on the go because you're getting a full serving of protein. So yeah, absolutely.
People that aren't hungry in the morning, is it still true that like if you cut yourself off at a good amount of time, 4 to 5 hours before you go to sleep, of eating anything other than drinking water, that you can switch your metabolism cycle so that you can wake up more hungry?
If you don't eat past that, if you do cut yourself off,
Yes. Like if you have dinner and you don't, like you can have almonds or fruits or not fruits, but vegetables, stuff like that.
yeah, after a certain time. So overall, and I've kind of been recently looking into this, the whole myth of like don't eat before you go to bed has actually kind of been debunked. There's really no, did someone say yes? And the reason behind that is because in general, what people usually eat at that 8, 9, 10 o'clock hour is like chips and ice cream or whatever, like junk food. That's just like the kind of the old traditional American diet is just you sit with a bag of chips or a tub of ice cream in front of your TV and what you're eating just isn't great. So that's kind of why that's just got a bad name and it's kind of like a bad idea, like don't eat before bed. However, if you're going to eat something that's already kind of allotted in your daily caloric intake and it's healthy or even just not that bad, there's really no rule to not to cutting yourself off 5 hours. I know for me personally, if I had my last meal at 5 o'clock, I would be so hungry by 6 o'clock. And I would just be starving in the morning. So in terms of, are you trying to like make yourself like more hungry in the morning? But
I've experienced that if I do make sure that I'm only eating like the foods that I'm not going to totally indulge myself.
yeah.
And I try to be conscious of not eating while I'm not being active.
Yeah.
At night before I go to sleep, I sleep better and I wake up hungrier.
Yeah.
So that way I'm more motivated to eat more.
And I think everyone's just body metabolizes differently. So I mean, if that strategy works for you, then that's also a great tactic, especially if there's someone who's like, oh man, I'm always eating at 9 o'clock. If you pick an hour, cut yourself off at that time, even if it is only maybe 7 or 8 o'clock. I think that is a great strategy. Definitely will wake up hungrier, I think. And I probably wouldn't eat a huge meal, then go right to sleep. But I mean, if you eat something, if you have like a last like late night snack, you know, you eat like fruit and I don't know, something quick around like 8 o'clock, you don't go to bed until like 9 or 10. I don't think that's not going to be like detrimental to your metabolism. But again, everyone kind of metabolizes differently, and you know.
One of the things is a little bit of a backwards way of thinking about it, but what happens when you do eat a big meal, like the 2/3 of lunch club? What happens? You get tired, and then you go to bed, and then you sleep well.
Yeah, and not everyone can sleep on a full stomach, but not everyone can either sleep on an empty stomach. I know I hate going to bed hungry, so yeah.
Have any of you guys eaten a lot right before you went to bed, and then what happens the next morning? Has anyone experienced eating a lot the night before and waking up the next morning and being starving again? You're like, that doesn't make any sense.
Oh, all the time.
So that's actually how the
I'm
body
always hungry.
works. And that's a hack you could try if you're trying to eat in the morning.